Hello everybody, this is Frank with RC Racing TV, and we're here back again with the DeAgostini step-by-step build of the DeAgostini Hummer H1 from DeAgostini Model Space. So here we are with the parts. This is part number 11, or step 12, and step 11 and step 12, as you can see. Right, so we've got the instructions printed out, which is always a good thing. And these are what we're going to be building in this one. The left rear hub. And these are the parts that we're going to get. And in a few pages' time, we've got the rest of the left rear hub, which is going to attach at some point to the rear suspension that we've just finished building. So, without any further delay, let's get going and get building. So we're just going to crack these open, and as you can see, we've got a couple of tools here. With some screws. Big E-clip. We've got another bag of grease. Now I have found a multi-purpose grease from an old kit. Again, you can use any RC applicable grease that you've got around if you've got if you built RC kits in the past. If not, multi-purpose grease from a motor parts store. Or a DIY shop. Just make sure it's suitable for metal-to-metal contact, because there is quite a lot of it in RC vehicles. Here's one of our axles, it looks like. I'm not exactly sure. And we've got a couple of bushings and a gear. And a couple plastic pieces, and we'll see exactly what these are as we're building here. So let's just get everything out and open. And we'll just leave some of these pieces on the plastic bag that they came in, just so we don't get grease everywhere. Now at this stage, we're getting to the point where we have lots of little pieces, so it's a good idea to have just a little plastic food tub like this, that has all of the small pieces that we haven't used yet, but we're saving from previous steps. So this is just a takeaway container, some old Chinese food. Give it a good clean, and you can keep everything in there. Very handy. Okay, so the first thing is we've got this is the rear hub, apparently. Ah, I see. Okay, so, and I'll explain in a moment. So it looks like we get one of these bearings, or bushings, and we push it into place, like so. Just press it into place, no problem. And we've got the shaft of the diff cup joint. So you see there's flat sections there. And we're going to, once again, sorry for the shaky camera, oops, bumped it again. Couldn't find my scissors, but a decent utility knife works just fine. So we're going to get a bit of this grease and just goop it on there. Now, a little trick, if you get it in kind of a weird place and you need to smooth it around, you get your one of your small plastic bags, and you put your finger in the plastic bag, and basically it just acts like a glove for your finger. So you don't have to do anything, worry about cleaning off your finger. Right, so that's good enough. So you see, nice clean finger, and we've got grease all over everything there. And then we're going to push it through from this side. Give a little bit of a spin. It doesn't matter if grease collects on the outside, that's okay. Spreading the grease, and then we're going to put more grease on the inside here. That's good. I was actually worried that the kit doesn't give you enough grease. Oop, that's quite a lot of grease there. But so you do seem to get plenty of grease coming around in the various steps. So you can be a bit generous with that. Okay, so next we grab this little gear here, and we look for the front and the back. So in the diagram, clearly tells you the front is the area with the side with the large area. So you can see there, that's just an area, and that has less area. So that's the front, and that's the back. So there we go. We're just going to turn the page, and we're going to put it on here with the back, the small side, facing inside here. So, and again, there's those flat areas. You see that sort of that shape, and it's going to fit on the axle like so. And we just make sure and push it down firmly, because there is going to be a groove that the massive E-clip is going to slide into. And we get our pliers. Just there we go. It went on fairly easy actually. And there we are. So that is that step. Now here in the instructions, there's a handy little, I mentioned before that there's a self-tapping screws and machine screws and this and that. This basically just describes. There's a standard screw, or in the RC world is what we call a machine screw. Self-tapping is quite widely spaced. These are to go into plastic. The stainless screws can go into plastic, they're just a little bit harder. There's a countersunk head. See, this red line is the surface of the material that you're screwing into. So it's countersunk, which means it's sunk into. And then you have the round head screw. And then you have the round head screw and the binding head screw, which is basically, it just has a wider head. So it kind of acts as, not exactly, but it kind of does the same job as a washer. Now, if you're an engineer, there's all sorts of various complicated explanations there, but for our purposes, that's all we're dealing with. So now, we're on to step 12. So, yeah, so you just leave your hub like that. We got step 12 next. So let's crack it open. Again, couldn't find my scissors, so I'm just going to slice it open quite easily. And we'll just keep the parts separate. It probably doesn't matter too much, but just going to keep them separate just in case, so nothing gets lost. It's also handy to, if you don't cut open the bags completely, you can store the parts in the bag between steps. So just letting you know. Right, so we've got, there's a dog bone or drive axle, drive shaft I should say. Not sure what that is. That's the rear wheel shaft. That's what the actual wheel is going to turn on. Remember, it's four-wheel drive, and we've got various. We've got more gears. Got more bushings. I'm not sure. Oh, that looks like the hex adapter, and there's the wheel nut, and another hex thing there. Okay, so let's get going. We've got the rear wheel shaft, small amount of grease. Just kind of goop it on, not too much. It does say a small amount. Right. And we've got a big bearing that's going to fit over that. Ideally, we should have dry fit it just to make sure we know which bearing it is, but as this bearing is the only one that has an opening large enough to fit. Actually, that one does too. So let's make sure we've got the correct bearing. The 1480 and the 1680 metal bush. 1480 is a smaller number, so I'm going to guess that means a 14 mil bushing and a 16 millimeter bushing. So that's those are the sort of the part number codes for these. So obviously this is the 1480 is the first one that we're putting on. So, and as we're putting it on, we're getting grease all over our hands because we're twisting it. It's okay because these metal parts do need the grease. Remember, always have some sort of a rag, just an old shirt or something like that. Insert the shaft into the hole next to the diff cup. So that will be this one, and the picture shows that we're doing it like this. Okay, so it's coming in from this side. Okay, so you can see we're going to have the dog bone coming in here like that, turning that gear, and we're going to have a gear on this, which is going to be this one. So you can see the two lengths of pin. They're actually 2 millimeters in difference, different lengths. So we need to use the short pin to put that gear in place. It's probably actually slightly easier, or not. Maybe not. It's the same difficulty to get in. Okay, so there we go. And there's the gear. And there we are. So now we've got it proper. So okay. Right. There you go. Now the instructions say to mark the grooves, but as you can see, you don't really need to. Now that is filling. I mean, there's four chunky bits of metal there, so it's starting to feel quite hefty. So what we're going to do next is get this E-clip in place. Just going to make sure this, where it's resting inside there, make sure it's inside the groove. It's very, very important. And then we're going to put more grease on the actual teeth of the gears. That way, when we do eventually close this up, they'll be nicely lubricated and stay that way. And what we're going to do is just give them a rotation and get a little bit more grease on some of these gears. And that just helps spread the grease around nicely. Okay. And now we're going to get this what we would call this, the outside left hub, rear hub from stage 11. We're just going to press that in place. Now, if you're an off-road fanatic, you'll know that we need to put the bushing on the inside of this here. First, on this one. Let's get some grease on that as well, because it's going to be rotating inside that plastic piece. There we are. Now, if you're an off-road fan, can't remember exactly what these are called, but basically these are Mercedes Unimogs, I believe, and various other off-road and military vehicles have this sort of extra gearing on the hubs, or kind of riser hubs, sort of. You can see where the hinge pin's going to go through on the wheel. So the wheels actually, or the suspension arm's actually going to be at this level, and on a racing buggy, this would be where the wheel is attached. It would just come right out there. It would just come out in line with the dog bone. But here, because it's a military vehicle, it's got this extra riser and all these gears, 2 extra gears and extra bearings and bushings and stuff like that. And so you basically have another, what's that, at least 15 centimeters, 12, 15 centimeters, or, it's what, 3/4 of an inch or so of ride height. So that's pretty good. Right, so next we're going to have, and here's your hinge pin, by the way. We've got the L wrench and these little screws. You got 6 of them that are going to attach from the inside here. And make sure you do it from the correct side, because if you're screwing the screws from the outside, you can see here that they just kind of slide right in from this side, and they only grab here. So if you're screwing them in from this side, they'll be grabbing, and then grabbing nothing on this, and they'll just fall apart. So you need to make sure you do it properly. And not my preferred way to get these in here. Let me see if I have a, oops, sorry. Let's see if I have a handy Allen wrench to take care of this. Long size, that's a 2mm. That's a 2.5. And that's even bigger, it's a 3mm. Where's my, there we are. Make sure, there we go. It's much easier with a real set of tools. So I'm doing these sort of in the star pattern, like I showed you before. Doing the top corner one and the opposite corner. And then the other corner again. So I thought this would be a quick video because the parts were so small, but I suppose not. There's 6 screws on each one of these. And they're small screws, but again, this is going to be a hefty Hummer truck. Just judging from this one corner of the suspension, that's a little bit too much. So you know you've got it just right when the screw is flush with the plastic. And now the middle pieces. If the screw threads are coming out of the plastic, you'll notice that the plastic on the other side is near the screw head, is near the bolt head, is bulging out. You back off so you don't damage the plastic. Also just looks a bit better. There we go. Okay, so now we do have an extra screw, and that's going to go into our parts box. Our spares parts box, I should say. And now once that's all connected, we're going to get a bit more grease out of this bag. And we're going to put it on the axle. And we have the thick bearing. This is the 1680 bearing. You push that into place, and that'll lock that axle in position. I'm pretty sure what's coming next, but I'm going to follow the directions. And let's see here. We've got the directions show that this rounded, see there's a rounded side to the hub, to the hex adapter, and this side doesn't have a little like raised lip area. You see that? Now this lip area, it goes on the inside there, and you can see the hole. It's got a bit of grease in it at the moment, and that's okay. And there that goes. And then we're getting the 14 mil shaft, and that's going to go into there. Wiggle it just to make sure it's all right. And then it's a bit of grease, but that's okay. We're just going to put some of that grease on the axles just to prevent future rusting. Okay, and then we have this plastic hex cover, and that is going to slip over the metal one, the metal hex, and keep that pin in place. Okay. And just until, well, the directions have us put this serrated wheel nut on the axle, just to hold it there. So it's all good. Alright, and we're going to get the rear suspension assembly that we did in the last couple of steps, which I must come out and admit, I put the arms on backwards. They were upside down in those steps. Now the dead giveaway that I should have noticed, but I was distracted because of having to knock the hinge pins into place. The dead giveaway is that these sort of dips in the arms, these little cutaways, that's so the drive shaft is able to have free movement. You'll see that the axle input actually rests right inside there. So I'll make a note on the video on the previous video where I show this, just so no one else makes that mistake. So my apologies for that, but yeah, shouldn't have happened. Okay, so we're working on the left, and we're going to put this into place and take our hinge pin. Now there's no E-clips on the hinge pin to worry about. All you need is a screwdriver, a Phillips or crosshead screwdriver, which I hopefully have handy. And there we go. There doesn't take that much to put into it. And that is it. All we've got left is, from these steps, is the dog bone or drive shaft, and what that will do is just rest in there and eventually meet up. And so you see when the suspension moves up and down, that input area for the axle rests right inside that depression in the arm. And now you'll get to see those gears in action when we turn the input shaft of the rear diff. Actually, yeah, it'll be going this way because it'll be going forward. So that's pretty interesting. I've never actually assembled one of these sorts of things before. So yeah, there we are. That is steps 11 and 12 of the DeAgostini Model Space Kyosho Hummer H1. So check back next in the playlist, and if you're watching this right when this is released, it'll be out the next video in just a few days. Thanks very much, and keep watching.